Fresh meat.
I just want to say I thank you. I do appreciate you stopping by. I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I'm kind of really excited to talk about it. Been following your career since about 2003. I actually took my girlfriend at the time to go see High Tension out in Joliet, and like the one screening in Illinois. So this is a cool thing to do.
Nice. Thank you very much. I mean, it's been a long time.
And I think what I really got into this is that as a thriller, it was amazing, but it actually got really deep. More about the human experience. And you're kind of more of a contemplative director. Like you don't rush out a lot of projects. So what was it about this story of Oxygen that you were excited to tell?
It happened in like two steps. In fact, I read the script the first time as I was finishing Crawl, and I didn't know anything about the scripts. So, and it was way before the pandemic, and I just like started reading, and I woke up in that pod, and I was kind of with her, like not knowing who I was and why I was there and if I was buried or and then like the story took me into a very unexpected place, like that kind of almost existential quest of who I was and why I was there. And at the time I thought it was like an amazing script and I really wanted to direct it. But when the COVID happened and the project I was working on at the time stopped, and I went back in Paris and in full lockdown, like Oxygen took another light. It became like almost like a necessity as a filmmaker. I had to make this movie. I mean, Oxygen is not about the COVID. It's not about about the lockdown. Even if, of course, being locked in a place and running out of oxygen can be very similar to what we feel, but it's about more, about the after, without spoiling too much. And so we sent the script to Netflix, and we said, like, can we make it right away? Can we make it like in French in Paris as soon as the lockdown stopped? And that's exactly what happened, and that was kind of like, it came from like an urgency of talking about this world. It's rare when sci-fi and anticipation become like so real and tomorrow. So yeah.
I was reading that this kind of jumped around from 2017 directors and actresses. When you came aboard, was the story that you told already there, or did you have to tweak and shape things? I mean, of course, the pandemic, I'm sure, did alter some things, but was this already set in stone, or did you have more to do with it in terms of how it ended up?
We did a lot of work on the script, but everything was already there. Like the adaptation in French was more like a way to focus on what is really important, and more like that kind of like a search about what makes a human being and what is the surviving instinct, and is there like like the that kind of idea of life after death, and I mean, without talking too much about like the theme, because it's also like an amazing kind of mystery box where we are with her and we want to unfold that kind of and explore that labyrinth of question that she has to go through to find a way out. So yeah, we did some work, but everything was mostly in the script, and that's what was crazy. I mean, it's crazy and not, because this is what makes science fiction so good. It's at its best when it talks about like something that we don't see necessarily yet, but make us think about it and kind of reflect our position in the world and our relationship to the others.
Can you go into the difficulties as a director about making a movie about one woman in one pod, and how, as a director, you can make that thrilling and interesting.
I've always been attracted to that kind of one location. High Tension was already taking place not in a house, but in one night. Crawl is happening during that hurricane in that house, in that storm. The Hills of Ice is that desert. Piranha is that lake. Like there is always for me the background, the world is like a way of creating a style, a visual style for the movie. So the ultimate fantasy for me was always to find like the smallest place, so I could like get to like that control of each detail, like the smaller thing has to be designed. So it started with this kind of big challenge, but then I think we had so much fun turning that challenge into an advantage, because we knew that we had one location only. We knew that we had that one character, and that she will be that the continuity of storytelling, and she will be the person creating that immersion. So we could do something that usually you don't do in other movie, where you actually can use all the different style of filming, all the different style of framing. You can have access to all the different lenses and cameras, and all the different technique. And in another movie, it will just take you out of the experience, because it will be such a jarring change of style. But because you have that continuity of that pod and her, you don't see it. But it gives me the opportunity of never repeating myself, and just also in a subtle way underlining all the emotion that she's going through.
One of my last questions actually is, I believe Your White Whale, something I've been following since about 2013-ish, which I don't know if the name has changed, but I believe it was called Cobra the Space Pirate. Can you get into any of that? Because I know that this has been something that I've been hearing about forever, and it keeps getting pushed back and talked about, and I'm just fascinated by it.
So it is like a very cult manga from the late 70s, early 80s, one of the biggest manga in Japan, and a huge success, not only in Japan, but in France. And for my generation in France, it was, like it was maybe as big as Star Wars. Like we were running off, school to watch, the new episodes of Cobra, the anime. And years ago, I've been approached to maybe make a movie about that. And we work on it for years and years and years. And it's still like one of my, it's really dear to my heart, and it's hard to share nostalgia. But for whoever knows Cobra, it's an obvious kind of Sergio Leone's in space type of movie. And at the time, we were already, it was before Star Wars came back. It was before Guardian of the Galaxy. So it was really something fresh. And it's also a very expensive one. So we got very close a few times, and didn't happen. But there's something that gives me hope. It's like when we were doing it in the like years ago, the only competition at the time was the adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, and at the time it was with Keanu Reeves, and it was like another feature, and they couldn't get it made. But today Cowboy Bebop is happening. So maybe after years and years, we will find a way to get Cobra on track.
So, sir, you keep doing what you're doing. I'm really excited.
Thank you very much
For Oxygen to come out on May 12th.
Thank you very much. Bye.